morning, y'all. It's been about 3 weeks since I finished my 2020 Appalachian Trail through hike, and it's been pretty busy. I have been spending a lot of time doing a lot of different things in regards to my hike, just kind of organizational type things, and also buying a lot of like what I call AT souvenirs. One of those is my coffee mug. I ordered off Etsy. Look, it's really cool. It's got the blaze and then little AT, and then here's this Appalachian Trail. I love this mug, it's awesome. And then I also like made this sweatshirt. So I actually made that online on the little company that I sell shirts at. If you want to look at what kind of designs I have created, you can find it on down in the description. You can find it there, probably the easiest way. I wanted to do this video today to basically give you all a breakdown of my 2020 through hike. That was probably my biggest question asked over and over again throughout my hike, was what I had done. For many of y'all, you probably are kind of familiar that I didn't do a typical through hike of what typical people through hikers do. Then mine was kind of quite different. I did not do northbound or southbound. It was a flip flop, but it was a pretty unique flip flop. And because not only did I flip flop, but I also leapfrogged. So what I've been doing is I created an Excel sheet, and I've got a whole breakdown here of my hike and how I did it, and like the zeros I took, slack packing, all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to just kind of go over that with you today and talk about that. And then also just kind of show you on a map, on an AT map, exactly how I hiked and how I did it. So you can kind of more visually see exactly what I did. And I'll show you that here as well. I knew that this for me wasn't just about going out and saying I did the Appalachian Trail and saying I through hiked it. I wanted the whole experience. I wanted the whole journey. I wanted to experience everything. I wanted to see everything along the trail. I wanted to see, you know, all the towns. I wanted all of that experience. I mean, I feel like that's part of doing the Appalachian Trail. It's not just hiking on the trail and staying out in the woods every day. It's all the towns you go through. I mean, that's what's vital to the Appalachian Trail community. And I think that's very different in some ways from the PCT or the CDT or some of these other long trails, because you have so many opportunities to go into towns. And why would you not take advantage of that while you're out there if you can? I wanted to be able to remember every day. And that's why it was important to me to do a daily vlog, because I wanted to remember things I knew I would end up forgetting. I wanted to make sure I was capturing all of the things along the trail that I knew I would want to remember. And that included what the trail looked like, how the trail was. That's one of the reasons I had so much longer videos. But because of that, it took me a lot longer to edit my videos. I might have like 40 minutes of filming that I would try to get down to say 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So it took me longer to edit videos. I tried to typically do those every night in my tent, but a lot of times I would be tired, especially if I did like a bigger mile day for me. And then a lot of times I had to end up waiting until I got into town to spend that time in town editing 4 videos, sometimes 5 videos, and then having to export all of those videos, which takes a little time, and then having to upload those videos, which at times could be a struggle because the Wi-Fi wasn't always very good in towns that I went in, and so sometimes I couldn't get videos uploaded easily. Now, yes, I could have done much shorter videos. I could have done like 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos, and probably had a much easier time. But then it wouldn't have been, I would not have been videoing for myself. I would have been videoing just to have something on YouTube. And that was not the point in why I wanted a video. I wanted, like I said, to be able to look back and remember everything. Because of that, like I said, I had to take a lot of zeros and to go into towns. And then I also took a lot of zeros because of various ailments. I had like basically almost head to toe poison ivy at one point in the summer. I started having knee issues. I had heel issues, and just I had these different things. And because I hadn't really experienced that before, I wanted to make sure that I was being very mindful of the pains I was having, so that's not to get an injury. Jerry, my husband, came out to see me several times, and I would take days off with him. I actually took 6 days off at one point when he came out to Harper's Ferry. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit before I kind of give you some stats. And then after I give you my stats, I will show you on a map how I actually hiked my hike. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't end up being very successful on a thru hike, and this is why only like 20% of hikers that go out on the trail, only about 20% finish. And it's because I think, one, the realization of how actually hard and tough it is to do a thru hike. And then a lot of it too being, I think, is that we get an expectation in our head of how we think we're supposed to do it. And when we start realizing that maybe we have to change things up, or, oh, we can't really do it that way, then all of a sudden we feel like we're failures. And I mean, there's so many times on the trail, and even now, since I completed the entire trail, when I start to compare myself to other people who have hiked, I say, well, I didn't do it the way they did it. So find your own way. The whole mantra of hike your own hike is so true. And hopefully, like I said, what I share will help you say, hey, Braids did it like that and she completed the trail, so I have a chance. At least I hope that's the way you see it. So let's get into the actual nitty-gritty stats. So I started the trail February the 20th of 2020, and I hiked until March the 23rd of 2020 when I got off the trail because of COVID. 61 days I was off. I got back on the trail on May the 24th. So I hiked from May the 24th, and then I finished, my summit day was December the 23rd. And I will show you on my map like exactly how I went about this. But first, let me just give you some numbers. The total number of days that I was on the trail. Now, this does not include the 61 days that I got off for COVID. It does not include 7 days that I took off and went back home around Thanksgiving, and I took a week off for the holidays. And also, so I did not include those two things, that 68 days that I did not include in this number, but 239 days. That is how many days that I was on the trail. Meaning the zeros and everything else. If I counted the days that I took off for COVID and the holidays, then it was 307 days from start to finish. But 239 days was the days being out there, and then with the zeros. I had 50 zeros while I was on the trail. I took 50 zeros. 6 of those zeros I took a week off at Harper's Ferry when Jerry came out to see me. So if you took that away, then it was like 44 zeros. But anyway, yeah, basically 50 zeros. I averaged about 6 zeros a month. There was a couple of months in August and November where I did more than 6, and I did 9 in August and I did 8 in November. December, I only had 3 zeros. A lot of those zeros were because Jerry might come to see me, so I would always take a zero. I mean, he was driving usually, several hours to see me, so I wasn't going to have him come out for half a day and then leave again. And then I took zeros, like I said, with the poison ivy and things like that. I would say that the majority of thru hikers average about 4 zeros a month. I don't think that's uncommon. I was always seeing the same hikers that I was around going to the same places I was. So 50 may sound like a lot, but I actually don't think that that's that many zeros for considering I was out there for 8 months. That's my opinion on that. But anyway, I slack packed 28 days. So I did a lot of slack packing. Part of that was I slack packed all of Massachusetts. They had a whole, they didn't want people sleeping out on the trail, for whatever reason they decided that, but that was what they asked people not to do. And so I was trying my best to respect that. So I slack packed all of Massachusetts. I slack packed a big portion of, well, I should say a big portion of Virginia, but I did slack pack several, especially at the end. I ended up slack packing 9 days. My last 9 days on the trail, I slack packed. And that was because I wanted to finish. I wanted to be successful with this hike. I wanted to complete the whole trail. And there was a lot of snow and it was very cold. And I just knew that if I stayed out on the trail, I don't know. I was afraid that I might mentally break. Whether I actually would have, I'll never know. But that's what I did. So basically I ended up slack packing, and I did one slack pack in July, and that was really because it was in New York and I was going over Bear Mountain. The only reason I did it was I had planned to take a zero, and I was like, I don't want to take another zero, so I'll just do a Nero. And the place I was staying, the show driver was just like, well, you know, you could just slack pack it. And so I was like, oh, why not? You know, I'd never done it. So I did the one, and that was in July. And then I did not do another slack pack until October. I did 8 days of slack packing in October, and then I did 8 days in November, and I did 13 days in December. So December was when I really did the slack packing, and that was towards the end. The other times I was slack packing too because of my knees. I was having some issues with my knees, and I just felt like I needed to take the weight off of me to help with that. Then I also, in November when I was doing it, I was having heel issues, and truth is when I did slack pack, I didn't have the pains. So to me, it was more important that I finished my hike and that I finished it without any injuries. So anyway, 28 days, that's how many days I slack packed. So basically I had a total of 189 hiking days. That's how many days that I hiked on the AT, like actual days that I hiked, that I did not take zeros or whatever. I visited 46 towns while I was out there. So that's how many towns that I went into and saw, or I walked through, I had 26 hostel stays. That's how many hostels that I stayed in. And I absolutely do not regret any of that. I think if you are a thru hiker and if you can afford it, and I think staying in hostels is pretty inexpensive. I would say they average anywhere from $25 to $45. I'd say that's about the average cost for to stay in a bunk in a hostel. And I definitely think it's worth it. If you can, try to stay in the hostels. Just the experience of it is every bit the experience of being out on the trail. And I had 32 hotel stays. So yeah, I had a lot of hotel stays, and part of that being, yeah, I'm pretty introverted, and there was a lot of times I just wanted to be kind of by myself. I usually always try to stay at a hostel if there was a hostel nearby. But with 2020 and COVID, a lot of the hostels were closed. So sometimes I had to do a hotel because I didn't really have a choice. And then I did a lot of the hotel because of the slack packing as well. Oh, okay. So then just to break down my zeros, like what states, how many zeros I did in each state. I thought I would tell you all that real quick. So in Georgia, I had 1 0, North Carolina 3, Tennessee 4, Virginia, I had 8, and that state, Jerry came out a lot. So that was a lot of the reason for zeros in Virginia. West Virginia, I had 6, and those were all with Jerry. That was the week I took off in Harpers Ferry. Maryland, I had 1, and that was just when I leapfrogged, which I'll go over that in a minute. Pennsylvania, I had 5. New Jersey, I had 0. New York, I had 4. Connecticut, I had 0. Massachusetts, I had 1. Vermont, I had 1. New Hampshire, I had 8. And Maine, I had 8. Basically, I physically hiked 6 months, 6 days. I was out on the trail, like the total time I was on the trail, excluding the time off for COVID and for the week holiday, I was on trail for 7 months and 3 weeks. And of course, obviously 10 months total if you include from the day I started to the day I finished. And I hiked 104 days northbound, and I hiked 135 days southbound. One stat that I forgot to give you all was my neros. So I actually only had 18 neros. So a nero is where you hike nearly no miles. So to me, I counted that as hiking 6 miles or less. Anything over that, I did not consider a nero. And most of the time when I was going into town to take a 0, I rarely was taking neros. I was hiking, like there were several times where I hiked like a 17 or 18 mile day and then went into town. But I had 18 neros. So that is a breakdown of my hike. Now, let me show you on a map exactly what I did and how I did it. So I have this lovely Appalachian Trail map from the ATC on my wall. And just to make it easier, I'm going to turn it around and show you on it that direction. But just kind of want to show you, this is the map. All right, let's go for it. All right, so I started here, or I started right here. Well, actually I started at Amicalola Falls because I did the approach trail. So here's Springer right here. So I hiked all the way to Hot Springs. So here's where, so if you're looking on the map, this is where I got to. That's the part I did that first month. I got to Hot Springs. This is when I got off the trail. I got off on March the 23rd. And then when I went back out on the trail on May the 24th, I went back here. So I started back here at Hot Springs. And then from here, I kept headed north. And I got all the way up here to Grayson Highlands. So I got all the way to here. And then at this point, this is when I decided I was going to leapfrog. And leapfrog, it means basically skipping a section, because I was not hiking very fast. I'm like a 2 miles per hour max hiker. This was early June. I was just getting kind of worried because I had all of this to do. So I thought I will skip the majority of Virginia, because to me, I was like, well, I can always do this last. Later, I thought in my head, I was thinking fall, like October, and then it would be easy then Jerry could come out and all that. So anyway, so I skipped all this section right here, and I got up here. So basically, here's Harper's Ferry. Now, what I did was there's a bridge here that you have to cross. What the point when I came up here, the bridge was out, and so what I had the very nice couple, Mark and Gail, who brought me here. They basically picked me up all the way down here at Damascus and brought me up to here. There's a little town basically right here. It's all on this map. It's called Knoxville. And that's where I stayed. And it's basically was across the bridge, because at that time the bridge was closed. So this is where I started back after I leapfrogged, and that was on, so actually I don't remember what date this was, but I will look it up and I will make sure to put the date below on the video so you can see what date that I started up here. So yeah, from here, there's basically, at this point I was in Maryland. I kept hiking north. So I got all the way, I went up Pennsylvania, up through New Jersey, up through New York, up into Connecticut. And I got all the way to Falls Village, right here, Falls Village. So let me zoom out a little so you can see. So this was that's the whole map. Obviously I skipped, like I said, the chunk of Virginia. But anyway, I got up here to Falls Village. And at this point, it was late July, like end of July. And I was just like, I've still got all of this to do. I knew I would get slower when I got up to New Hampshire and Maine. So I thought, I'm going to flip. And so So I got a ride from a very nice lady named Christine. She took me to the airport, and I took a plane up here to Bangor, where I started at Katahdin. I summited on August the 6th, and I headed southbound. So from here, I headed south, went all the way south, just kept going all the way back to, all the way back to Falls Village. So all the way back to Falls Village, I did that section south. So from here, I got a ride from a very nice couple named Jay and Denise, and they took me all the way back down here to her, at that Knoxville. The Knoxville is the end of America, it's like right before the bridge. So I was on this side, opposite of the bridge. At this point, the bridge was fixed. And I got back here on October the 28th. So right here. And then I hiked across the bridge, met Jerry. He came out for a while, did that. And then basically hiked all of this of Virginia all the way back down to Grayson Highlands State Park. And was my summit and finish. Was basically at Massey Gap, which is not on this map, but you know where the Grayson Highlands is. So right there, Massey Gap, that's where I finished. And that was what I did. And I of course did the entire trail, but I did it very differently than others have done it. Yeah, so even though my hike is definitely really hard, if not too hard to explain to just anybody who's asking me, I did a flip-flop, that's what I did. But the thing is, I definitely experienced some pretty awesome things. I got to experience all 4 seasons of the trail. I got to see winter, spring, summer, fall, and winter again. And that's something not all thru hikers get to experience. I mean, some don't even experience fall ever. And I got to see fall in the New England states, which is pretty freaking cool. And then I got to go through the Shenandoahs and not see one bear. I mean, how many thru hikers get that? So I got to see, I didn't see any bears there. I did see bears on the trail. I saw several, like probably, I think I saw a total of 6 bears out on the trail. I saw a ton of deer, some porcupines, all kinds of little animals. But I got to see all of the wildflowers. I got to see snow. I got to see fall leaves. I got to see the green of the trees. I experienced all the weather, thunderstorms, rain, snow, heat, bugs. I don't know. I feel like I experienced everything. So in some ways, it's like, would I change it? I don't know, because I got to experience all the towns, or a lot of the towns. 46 towns is not all the towns. There was definitely several towns that I did not stay in, and several that, and some I did walk through that I still got to, that actually I don't actually think I put on there. These were all the towns that I stayed in one form or the other. These are all the ones I stayed in. All right, well, that is everything. I hope I gave you a good breakdown of my hike. I hope that gives you some information if you were just kind of curious as to exactly what I did and all of that. I hope that gives you some info, and if you're looking to plan a thru hike, then I hope that if nothing else, it just gives you an idea to know you can do your hike however you want to do it, and don't think you have to do it the way you see everyone else do it or someone else do it. Just do it the way you want to do it. But yeah, that's that. So I will be doing some more videos here coming up. Like I said, I would like to do I think I'm going to do a little series called My Favorite Things, and basically go over like my favorite hostels, my favorite views, my favorite hotels, my favorite towns, you know, just my favorite gear. I'm just going to kind of do like a whole little series of those different videos. So if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this, you know, maybe you'll consider subscribing. If I did not answer all of your questions, please feel free to leave me a question in the comments, and I will try my best to answer them. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and for all the support you have given me through my thru hike and for my videos on my channel. It's very appreciated. So until the next video, have a great day. Bye.